the mystery. I am ready now.
Yes, thank you. Um, Still in our free will.
Gl-
I'm still,
Glad you could make it, sir.
thank you, sir. I was handling important D6 business. And yeah, there we go. Today is going to be hard. I'll give you a review about what I've been telling you, which you forced me to do 4 weeks ago. And it's going to be hard because it's going to be science based and it is going to challenge your feelings. It won't be hard in tone or anything. It's just hard based. Anyone with the ability to Google, if you can Google for me, block universe theory explained, especially Grace and Deanna. Block universe explained. And I will put these terms out into the chat as well. I also want you, well, you're familiar with the space-time continuum, yes. All right, Deanna, if you can read that.
The block universe theory, also known as the block time theory or eternalism, is a model of the universe that describes space-time as a four-dimensional block that contains everything that has ever happened, including the past, present, and future. The theory states that time doesn't pass and that all times coexist equally. So there is no basis for singling out a present time. It also suggests that time travel is possible.
Outstanding. Okay, I hope y'all heard that. Don't worry, I'll come back and explain it. Multi-worlds interpretation. If Grace, if you can put that on the screen, Melissa, if you can do the same thing you just did, post some article, I'd be grateful. Multi-worlds interpretation. If you've seen any Marvel comics, something, right? Yeah, there you go. Multi, any movie, and it says, whatever, just anything like that. You ever heard the word dimensions or anything? We're in the proper set. Okay, Grace is, I'm assuming she's, there we go. You can just read whatever AI's or whatever's the first thing popping up. It's not a big deal. Read, please.
Speaker. Okay. The many worlds.
There you
The
go.
many worlds interpretation implies that there are most likely an uncountable number of universes. It is one of a number of multiverse hypotheses in physics and philosophy. MWI views time as a many branched tree wherein every possible quantum outcome is realized.
Outstanding. Can someone, that's a different word that you've probably never seen before, but it makes sense. Neuroscientific, please. Neuroscientific. Grace or Deanna, share it on the screen. Doesn't matter who was first. Just know that when you share, don't be boring. Read. Neuroscientific.
All right. So I'm gonna click the Collins Dictionary.
Oh, you can just read what's right there. It's all good.
Physiology of the nature of neuroscience.
Okay, I'll go back and explain that. Eternalism. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Eternalism.
So eternalism is a philosophical theory in the philosophy of space and time that states that all points in time are equally real, as opposed to presentism, which states that only the present is real. Eternalists believe that the past, present, and future all exist, and that there is no cosmically extended now. Some forms of eternalism treat time as a dimension similar to space, with different times being as real as different places. In this view, future events are already there in the same way that other places are already there, and there is no objective flow of time.
Stop right there. Everybody on this call believes in eternalism. You have no choice. Every time you've ever invoked one God, every time you've ever invoked multiple gods, every time you've ever invoked ancestors, if you've ever lit an offering, if you've ever poured an offering, if you've ever done a ritual or a sacrifice, you were taking yourself into a time of some entities, okay, something, and you were saying they were in a different timeline than you. Is this clear? Outstanding. Great. Whoever, the Greek word for inspiration, and I'm going to repeat all these again. The Greek word for inspiration, please. When I get here, if I do get here, Otis, what a doozy. What a doozy. If I do. Phil's going to like this part. I've heard Phil
Oh,
talk
wow.
about this before. Go ahead.
Ooh, I'm sorry, I saw the last phrase.
I
The
need to do
Greek,
a different, hold on, not that word, Grace. That is a different form. I don't want that one. I want
okay.
this one. Yeah, I don't want that one.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'd spare you the details of why I don't want that one.
So you want the Greek word for that, or
Yes,
just put that in? Okay.
yes. In theos.
Ah, there it is. The Greek word for entheos is an adjective that translates to full of the God, inspired, possessed in English. It's pronounced in theos and is derived from the Greek words in, meaning in, and theos, meaning God. The Greeks used entheos as a term of praise for artists and poets. It's also the root of the English word enthusiasm, which originally meant possessed by a god. For the first 200 years, it was used in English. Enthusiasm was mainly used to describe religious beliefs or passions. It was also sometimes used in a derogatory way to describe excessive religious zeal. Today, the religious and derogatory connotations are no longer associated with
Oh, you can stop reading.
enthusiasm.
You can stop
Okay.
reading. You can stop reading. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can stop reading. Thank you so much. Epigenetics. Epigenetics.
I got that one too.
Yep. And I didn't post it because I know you know how to spell it. Epigenetics.
Epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of how cells regulate gene activity without changing the DNA sequence. The prefix epi comes from Greek and means on or above. Epigenetic changes are modifications to DNA that control whether genes are turned on or off. These changes can be caused by chemical modifications to the DNA letters or the proteins that interact with the DNA.
Dual process theory. For those of
All
you
right.
just joining, I'm going to go back over these terms. The next time I go back over these terms, you should probably commit them to some form of short-term memory. Dual process theory.
Show me more. Okay. Dual process theory, also known as System 1 and System 2,
Exactly.
Thing 1, Thing 2, is a physiological theory. No, there's no H there. Psychological theory that explains how people think and make decisions by using two different processes.
You can stop right there. I'll explain this shit. Don't worry about it. It's system 1 and system 2, but I'll skip this. There's a great book by Daniel Kellerman. I'm not going to say his last name right. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow that covers this greatly. It's a great book. It's a great book. And let's go backwards now.
Okay.
Let's go
Do you want me to keep this up?
You can go ahead and keep it up.
Okay.
When I go through this list again, I would then give you my title and I would give you my introduction. Is that cool? Outstanding. The first thing I asked you to Google was block universe theory. While she's doing this, you're going to see science, psychology, and philosophy. Read, please.
The block universe theory, also known as eternalism or omnitemporalism,
Yep.
is a theory
time. Time everywhere. Keep going.
Thank you. Yeah, my
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do all that. I'm gonna do all that heavy lifting. I'm gonna do all that heavy lifting.
It is a theory of time that posits that the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a four-dimensional block.
Okay, do me a favor. Copy and paste this whole little paragraph. You can just go to that. Well, you can go. That's fine. That's fine. And to put that in the Zoom chat, please. You can stop your screen and then put it in the Zoom chat so you can see while I explain this here. If you've ever believed in God, if you've ever lit a sacrifice, if you've ever,
Oh, no.
that's fine. If any of that, you believe in this. If you've ever said God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, you have no choice. Okay? I'm not in my introduction yet. I haven't given you my title, but you have no choice.
You got me and Jerome's attention when you said that one, okay?
You have no choice.
Me too, I tell you.
Yeah, you have no choice. My introduction is twofold, and for those of you, the first thing I said is today is going to be difficult. Not the tone, not the. It's like I'm not choosing violence. It's just that we're going with all these 6 weeks or whatever has been nothing but science. I've just let you dominate the conversation, and I've weaved it in without telling you the terms, which is my preference. Because, to borrow from the great apostle Paul, ain't no sense in me saying some stuff and the people aren't benefiting from it. I paraphrased that. That wasn't a translation, but Paul goes, tongues, I speak tongues better than all y'all. I dare you look it up. I dare you look it up. Preach, say less. I preach better than all y'all. But why would I do that? And this is the scripture, and well, this is the episode in which Paul says, if you speak in tongues and ain't no translator, you shouldn't even be doing that. Okay, just so we're clear. So I don't give y'all these thingies because the goal is for us to walk together, not for me to look smart. That's the goal. That's the goal. All right, Deanna. So block well, it's all there. It's all there in the chat. You're gonna do this each time, Deanna. Space-time continuum, please. I will give you my title after this, and I will give you my two-part introduction, and then God bless you all. Three-part introduction. I will rephrase what I think, and I'm being humble by saying what I think. Space-time continuum, Deanna.
The space-time continuum consists of 4 dimensions. The 3 dimensions of space, length, width, and height, or up, down, left, right, and forward, backward, depending upon how you wish to think of them, plus the 4th dimension of time.
You can copy and paste that. Notice that's not theory in front of that. We've proven the space-time continuum.
So the
We know
space-time
that
continuum is math.
Yes, and I am. Well, you know this about me, Grace. I'm a mathematician and a scientist. By trade, I'm an engineer. So I don't want to. I'm going to have to. What I'm going to do today. I hate talking about myself, but I'm going to have to when I do that. Okay. All right. paste that, and then the next one is many worlds interpretation. And I'll explain these things now, and just so you can just hurry up and copy and paste. Many worlds interpretation is what you think it is.
You said
Dr.
many
Strange,
worlds?
many MWI, many worlds interpretation. Many worlds interpretation. This is when this is you know, the multiverse theory, the Spider-Man, No Way Home, and whatever, Marvel comics. Okay, just copy and paste. Just copy and paste. People have an understanding of that. Just copy and paste. Neuroscientific. This is philosophy now. I barely actually say the word delve. This delves into philosophy, and it doesn't matter which one. I don't care. It doesn't matter which one, because that's part of my introduction is going to be, it doesn't matter which one, and you'll see why.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't. Yeah, that's fine right there. Neuroscience is I almost got my doctorate in cognitive behavioral neuroscience. It was either that or quantum physics. Well, mathematics and then quantum physics. I take put it in the chat. I don't stop choosing one.
Oh, sorry.
It's
in chat.
Outstanding. Eternalism. If you ever have invoked a god of any type, any higher power of any type, this is philosophy now. You believe in eternalism. Eternalism points to all things of time are equal. Yesterday, today, and forever, right? Okay, she pasted that, I'm assuming. The Greek word for inspiration, but the adjective. I didn't want the noun that you pulled up. I want the adjective. Entheos. There you go. Basically, this is saying that the Greeks, when Greeks understood what if I get here, Kenneth, if y'all let me get here. Oh, shucky ducky. If you let me get here. Greeks saw something and called it in God, from God, of God. We'll talk about it. All right. I'm assuming you copy and paste that. Epigenetics. If you've ever believed in DNA, if you've ever said, well, I mean, it's just in her genes, anything like that, if you've ever said, if you got hair loss and you said it's my genes, if you've ever said anything like, well, my whole family's short, well, we have a tall family, I'm big boned.
She got it from her mama.
Well, you got it from your mama. If you've ever given your family medical history at the doctor, you believe in epigenetics. Now, that don't mean you believe in the weaponization of epigenetics that's happening, but that's a different story. All right, I'm assuming she's copying and pasting that. Dual process theory. This time, Deanna, you will post those to thinking one, thinking two, or system one, system two. You will post those. It's right there. Yeah. You will post those this time. Great book on this. I bought it sometime in like 2011. Thinking Fast and Slow. And that's really what these two processes are. I'm going to come and explain these. If y'all let me hear, we had a great class. If y'all let me hear. I doubt it though. But let's see. Well, I say that. We had a quiet class because the class is going to be great regardless. And then lastly, Deanna, I believe most theistic philosophers today are fair enough. Presentist. Fair. It's good to have Dr. Ferris here. He's gonna point stuff like that out there. There is no empirical evidence for the many worlds interpretations. It's fair. There's also no empirical evidence for God. Both of those are fair statements. Both of those are fair statements. All right, and I think that's it, Deanna. Thank you so much. You can stop your screen. Dr. Ferris is right. There is no empirical evidence for many world theories, many world interpretation. He's absolutely correct. Equally, you know why y'all are Christian? because there's a point in which you must catch it by faith. There's a point in which understanding stops, and then you must catch it by faith. And there is no evidence of God. There's no evidence of infinite intelligence. I can argue against that. There's no evidence for randomness. I can argue against that. There's no evidence of the Big Bang. There's also no evidence of, there's absolutely zero evidence that humans came from monkeys. There's zero evidence that humans came from monkeys. Yet that's what we do. That's what we teach.
There's no evidence of Jesus Christ writing something down.
There's no evidence of Jesus Christ writing something down, right? So there you go. The difference for God is that there are evidences, but the difference for MWI is there are no evidence. Well, that last part's not true. There's plenty of evidence for MWI, but I'll come back to it. If we get to if we get to simulation theory, there's plenty of evidence in there. But I'll get to that. Maybe I'll get to it. We'll see. Okay. Today's title is Free Will and Pre-Existing Choices Presented with Hard Scientific Facts. Free will, and pre-existing choices presented with hard science and facts. I am going to say it again.
Like your title.
Well, it says y'all have free will. I'm going to prove free will with hard science. I'm going to prove free will with hard science. I'm also going to prove determinism with hard science. I'm going to do both. I am what you call a polymath. That word doesn't really, this is not the circle for that word, but you've heard of this before, but you call it Renaissance man. Y'all familiar with that? Right. I know it's been a song or a TV show or whatever. Renaissance man was Leonardo DiCaprio. Joking. Leonardo da Vinci. I couldn't resist the joke. I couldn't resist it. I'm sorry. I was there, Phil, and I was like, just run through it. Just smash it. I just have to do it. Okay, I have to do it. Leonardo da Vinci. A Renaissance man is someone that does something at a genius level in multiple fields. Typically, the human brain doesn't operate this way. Typically. Let me not say that because I just disagree with myself. In my head, I haven't did it out loud to y'all. But I am going to, for the rest of, so I would use some key terms here. If I say brain, mind, or thought in any way, and it results to what humans do to it or do with it, I'll repeat. If I say brain, mind, or thought for the rest of this class, and anything that humans do with it or do to it, those are two different things. Those prepositions change those meanings. Do with it, do to it. I am saying the average person. That is not what I think, because the brain is an untapped resource that we are not. Well, some of us are, most people are not. Just know, and that's not the first time someone make that argument. The book of John, for you Christians, is making that same type of argument, just not with brain, but with the, like, if you rip the book of John out of the gospel, did you see what I did? I did not say gospels. There's only one gospel. It took 4 writers to try to talk about it. You get it? There's one gospel. It's a great book on that. Scott McKnight, King Jesus Gospel. Anywho, if you take John out, we lose the idea of the age to come. Like there's some age up here that's touching down on earth. We lose that. We lose the here and not yet. We lose that Jesus was born God. That Jesus was God and became a man. We lose all of that. So I'm just trying to say, before I read the comments, I'm just trying to say that it's not the first time someone presented an argument that had a duality to it. Is that fair? Okay. You can only prove determinism that includes violation if the physical system is closed and further violations are physical, or you can argue that there is literally one singular mind. The one singular mind part you can argue, but I can absolutely obliterate the first part, the first full sentence of what Dr. Ferris just said, and I'm actually accidentally going to do it in about 10 minutes. It wasn't my plan. I didn't expect him to post that comment, but free will is such as the. I'm absolutely going to obliterate that. What I need some one of y'all, Grace or Deanna? No, Grace, Deanna, you do it. I need ChatGPT 4. I have one request during this call. Cool. Now, y'all keep your feedback coming, keep your oppositions coming, keep your strong opinions coming. There is no request for you not to stand on what you believe. Because I'm really not, with the exception of my introduction, what I'm about to do, I say there's 3 parts. That's the only time I'm really going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to present to you hard facts. You understand? I'm going to present to you with facts. All right. That's fair says what I know. Deanna, type as follows. Please tell me what age Albert Einstein was when he came up with the theory of relativity. Period. Please tell me what age Einstein was when he published the theory of relativity. Period. Please tell me what age Einstein was when he redacted. My bad. It's spelled the way it sounds. And perfected his general theory of relativity. And please tell me what age Albert Einstein got his doctorate degree. Period. And please give me years, if possible. Hit enter. I'm going to read this, if y'all don't mind. Okay? I'm going to read this. Special Theory of Relativity, 1905. He was 26 years old. He published a paper on Special Theory of Relativity, 1905. Got his doctorate degree. Albert Einstein was 26. He received his PhD from the University of Zurich, 1905. General Theory of Relativity. He was 36, 10 years later, when he completed the formulation of General Theory of Relativity. The year he presented his final form of General Theory of Relativity in 1915. The publication of the General Theory of every time y'all say theory of relativity, y'all quoting the General Theory of Relativity. One of the things Einstein did not like was math. He didn't like the math part of quantum physics. He didn't do quantum physics, but he didn't like the math part. Einstein was 37 years old when he published his paper on the General Theory of Relativity. The paper was published in 1916. Now you're going to Google this time, Deanna. This is for a few people in the crowd. What? No. I mean, not Google. Sorry. Google just means type. Google's such a monopoly. Google means everything at this point. You're really going to disprove? Fair enough. Physicality, yes. Or the fact that you can't prove determinism of the physical system It's even dubious that hard facts on the strictly physical system exists. Well, we about to find out. Huh? I'm on the air. It's yeah. You want to see the people? Okay. Because she don't want to see y'all. Dr. Ferris has a fair point, which I will come to here in a second.
Antonio,
Deanna, yes.
tell Dr. Ferris that I like him. I like him a lot, and keep talking.
Keep
Okay?
talking. Yeah.
Because he can't talk. I can't talk the way he talk, but I like the way he talk.
Well, I'm about to. In fact, I'm glad you said I can't talk the way he talk because I'm about to do something there with that. Deanna, which came first? You're typing this. Which came first? Albert Einstein's PhD or his theory of relativity? Now, I have no point to prove with this. I'm anticipating, Jerome, he said, I appreciate it. I'm anticipating opposing viewpoints, so to speak. His theory of relativity was in June 30th, 1905. He submitted his paper. He got his degree on July 20th, which is my birthday. I already know these facts. I'll show you my Audible library here in a little bit. Oh no, hold on, baby. I'm in class, so if you do that, you got to turn it down. Go. Yeah, turn it down. All right, let's see. Oh, like 18, baby. Okay. Einstein received his PhD July 20th, 1905. Can someone tell me something there? What do you see there? Which obviously I know what to ask, Jerome. That's why ChatGPT is communicating in this way. To speed us up, he published first.
Before he got his degree.
All right, stop there. Now, let's just assume, Kenneth, that he did not come up with that's not the general theory. That's 10 years later. He did not come up with the theory of relativity in 24 hours. Can we do that? Is that okay? Yes. All right. So we can say that he was doing work without the degree. We know this to be true. We also know that the pushback of what he was doing without a degree was vicious. Come on, it's Industrial Revolution. It's Industrial Revolution. You get it? You're not allowed to be first off, this world is not kind of geniuses. Let's just start there. There's nothing about this world kind of geniuses. We only appreciate geniuses of any field when they're dead. This is when we appreciate geniuses. So if you're the genius of your family, you can relate. Right? Is this TV too loud? Can y'all still hear me?
John Lennon said genius is a curse.
No doubt. I would absolutely agree. All right, cool. So that's that. Let me see if I can cut this off so I can hear y'all a little bit. All right. No, I need to hear myself. So that's that. Cool. We got to agree first. Some of y'all are geniuses on your way to your credentials. So the reason I'm doing this is remember I said I'm doing this for, okay, Renee gets it. So I'm obviously doing it for Renee. So when you push back or say something, you don't have to be Dr. Ferris. You know what you know, even if it's not popular. You get it? So stand on what you know, because that's the conversation. That's the conversation we're having. Is this cool? That's the conversation we're having. Stand on what you know. I say that for the rest of the people. All right. Good stuff. Now, two more things in my introduction. Semantics. Be kind here. I'm going to bring up schools of thoughts without singling out as one in particular. Law of attraction, causality, reap what you sow, karma, boomerang theory, what goes around comes around, merry-go-round, what goes around comes around. Did I say reap what you sow yet? Did I say reap what you sow? Cause and effect. All of these things describe one thing. You go to war over semantics. A lot of Christians say, I don't believe in law of attraction, but you believe in reap what you sow. The vernacular.
Can I stop you for a quick second?
Yep, sure can.
And when you say semantics, just to make sure, it's like the little things.
So
like
Dr. Ferris,
detail.
yes, little things. Dr. Ferris and Antonio are paid to hear a preposition and or trained and paid to hear a preposition and then discount that entire argument off one prepositional phrase. Give you a good example of this. Jesus died in sin. Some of y'all got offended. Jesus died for sin. Nobody got offended. Jesus died to sin. I got offended. Can someone tell me why I got offended? You can't. I'll skip it. That those prepositions change those meanings. Dying in sin, it's arguable. Dying in sin, yeah, we don't like to say died in sin because y'all don't like to have a guilty Jesus. But the whole point of one of your theories of atonement is he took on Jerome's guilt. Now, your saving grace is, but he was not guilty. He did not sin. You get it? He did not sin. You don't have to believe me, but that's literally spelled out in Romans chapter 5, verses 12 through 22. So before you smash me for simplifying something, my job is to communicate to my audience. I could give you the Greek, probably quote it in Greek, Romans 5, 12 through 22, but I'll just say it, and then hopefully you go look it up and challenge me. That, the best Bible translation in the world is the one you're reading. Simple as that. Doesn't matter the trend. If you're reading it, good start. Okay, good start. According to Tracy, the Holy Spirit will lead you to something that serves you. It's fair. It's fair. Okay, that's fair. All right. Study of linguistic meaning, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So we're trained in that. We're trained, and now he's trained in a different area due to the fact that he has presented a thesis and argued it against people who were desperately trying to poke holes in this thesis, not to make fun of him, but to make him better. So when he goes out into the public, he represents his field correctly. So he's trained that way. I'm trained and focus on it in the same manner, not to his level, but I'm trained because this is what I do and I get paid for it. You get it? That's semantics, okay? That the moment you see narcissists use semantics all the time. You said this, I didn't say that. And like if I want to lie to you, I'll say, well, did you cheat on me? I ain't cheat on you. That was very, 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 very weird statement. That yes or no was the response. You know, but why didn't I say that I cheat on you? Why would you say that? Like what word are you emphasizing? You don't have to believe me, but just know Bill Clinton did not get impeached because he was a lawyer. He didn't. He didn't. He did it. He did exactly what I'm describing. He did exactly what I'm describing and did not get impeached. Just so you know, he did that. I won't tell you if you're not old enough, don't worry about it. Okay. If you're not old enough, don't worry about it. All right. So we argue over semantics. I invite you all today to keep all those semantics because it's going to make the conversation better. Cool. Last thing, here's what I think. I brought up free will. I taught y'all about this. I made you suffer for 4 weeks. And then Grace was like, well, you need to tell us what you think. And then I did tell y'all what I think, but I haven't argued what I think until today. That's why I'm giving you these terms. Remember, I notified you. I said this yesterday. I notified you what I think. I never argued what I think. Today will be the argument. An argument is definition, layman's terms, definition, Antonio's terms of an argument is, here's my bias. I am supporting it with details as best as I can. That's an argument. It's not the way y'all have turned the word argument into argument. That means something different. When you're arguing with your boo thing, that's a little bit different. You're doing it, but to borrow from Dr. Ferris, you may be doing a lot of bull jive in that argument because you're not trying to solve anything. You're proving points, but never solving the problem. That's typically how most relational arguments go. You're proving points, and what you do is you prove each other. You prove each other. Prove, but you never solve the problem. That's bull jive. All right, anyway, what I think.
Well, at least you know how I feel.
Exactly.
Hey, that was deep.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yeah, no, you can comment on it. You can comment on it. Yeah. Bull jive is just
Almost
having a
like
conversation that's not supposed to have any, I'm just throwing out hot one-liners. I'm just throwing out hot one-liners. It's it. Most of us get into an argument and it's just hot one-liners. And I'm no longer trying to solve the problem. I'm just trying to defeat you. The goal is to defeat you. But the goal should be to solve the problem. You get it? All right. What I think, free will absolutely exists. So does determinism. And they exist simultaneously in a system. I'll be careful with my words. In a system in which your current observation of consciousness is experiencing. Write that down for me. Write that down. I'm gonna write it down first because if I'm presenting an argument, I am going to be called to the carpet and I'm going to have to defend it.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Write down what I'm saying. So when y'all bring it up, you said this, I'll be like, nope, that's not what Grace wrote down. It's right there. All right, that's right. This is what I said. Free will exists 100%. So does determinism 100%. Different sentence. They exist simultaneously in a system, which I'm not defining system right now, in a system in which your consciousness observes your current experiences. I'm sure I said it differently the first time, but this is more refined. That alone is going to be hard to disprove for multiple reasons, but for the most important reason is you don't know what I'm talking about yet. How you going to disprove something I ain't talked about it? Right? There you go. So that's why it's the hardest to disprove right now. There's one way. I'm going to draw on the whiteboard real quick. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm good. Go ahead. Go ahead. Y'all interrupt me anytime.
So I have a question because I
Okay.
want to make sure I understood what you said. So you are saying that
Well, I haven't actually
in
said anything yet, but we'll see.
well, what you're presenting is we have both and we have both free will and determinism 100%, and we have free will and determinism 100%. And you're saying that they exist simultaneously within the boundaries of our physical and the the system of no boundaries in our consciousness. So are you saying that free will exists within the physical but not within the consciousness because it was determined before we got here who we were going to be, but we have free will within these boundaries to maneuver around? If that makes sense.
Everything you said, every single thing you said, makes sense. You did a good job. This is why I want y'all to ask questions or push back, because now she's forcing me to explain and explain better. Okay. She's forcing me to explain and explain better, even though I haven't had the opportunity to explain.
Yeah, you have it. You just
Before I
presented
get to
us
what
with your
Dr. Ferris
argument.
just said, no, before I get to Grace, try to write down everything. When I tell you to write down this, write them, because we got to come back to it. Before I get to what Dr. Ferris just said, let me answer your question, Deanna. Based on what I've said so far, I would say you don't have determinism. Determinism has you. But you do have free will based on what I've said so far. You said we have 100% we have 100% determinism and 100% free will. I would say, based on what I said so far, you have 100% free will, but determinism has you 100% human. Like, that's why in my definition here, I said simultaneously in a system. But you caught what I said because I have not fully presented my argument yet. What I just did is I declared a thesis. Is what I just did. Okay. And I'm not taking too long. We're just talking. Like, time has not got there, but that proves my
Yeah, I
point.
interrupted you.
No, nobody's interrupting me. The mere fact that y'all don't know what I'm going to say, even though I have this written down at a scholarly level for years, or maybe not years, but for a year. But these thoughts have been in my head for decades. But I pinned them down for years, or for a year and some change. It tells you do not have the free will to jump ahead of my conversation. Now, Dr. Ferris would argue, without me looking at his comments, is that doesn't mean determinism exists because, well, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't know why, because I know what he said before, but I don't know in this particular version of what he's actually would say there. But I know he would disagree with what I just said. And I don't want to put words in nobody's mouth. Let me read this real quick. I don't understand. Do you mean determinism is at a meta level where free will is defined according to physical compatibilism or theological compatibilism, or both? Certainly you're not designating determinism according to a physical system. A version of free will not as we experience it, but a complex product of some system. Without explaining what he just said, my answer will explain to y'all what he said. Let's talk about gravity. Einstein posits or thinks that gravity does not exist. One of his last thoughts was that gravity was not something that exists. You know what? I don't have to. I'm going to. In other words, your version of free will necessarily excludes libertarian free will. I would never subscribe to libertarian free will in the first place. So that last question does not apply to me or my argument. For me, libertarian free will is equally as saying what's the marital status of number two. While the question makes sense, for me, it's inappropriate. Libertarian free will is inappropriate to Antonio. So we'll have to define libertarian. Oh, I'm sure, Dr. Fitz, if you don't mind, you define libertarian free will. Let me answer. We're going to play 2 videos real quick. And then I will get to drop your comments. Let me explain this. Let me explain block universe theory.
Time as a loaf of bread. Einstein realized that just as there are different ways to cut a loaf of bread into individual slices, there are different ways to cut space-time into individual now slices. That is, because motion affects the passage of time, someone who's moving will have a different conception of what's happening right now. And so they'll cut the loaf into different now slices. Their slices will be at a different angle.
That person who's moving will tilt the knife, will be carving out these slices at a different angle. They won't be parallel to my slices of time.
To get a feel for the bizarre effect this can have, imagine an alien here in a galaxy 10 billion light years from Earth, and way over there on Earth, the guy at the gas station. Now, if the two are sitting still, not moving in relation to one another, their clocks tick off time at the same rate, and so they share the same now slices, which cut straight across the loaf. But watch what happens.
Just pause it for a moment. This is pretty indicative of my idea, or it's not idea, science. I understand science. This is what I'm hinting at as a system. It's not complete because I have not completed it yet, but just know that now slice, this is what I'm arguing, a system for right now.
And so they share the same now slices, which cut straight across the loaf. But watch what happens if the alien hops on his bike and rides directly away from Earth. Since motion slows the passage of time, their clocks will no longer tick off time at the same rate. And if their clocks no longer agree, their now slices will no longer agree either. The alien's now slice cuts through the loaf differently. It's angled toward the past.
Since the alien is biking at a leisurely pace, his slice is angled to the past by only a minuscule amount. But across such a vast distance, that tiny angle results in a huge difference in time.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. The whole video, it has completely fulfilled its purpose as far as what I am trying to accomplish here.
So what the alien
completely fulfilled its purpose. Now, let me just explain. Y'all for the talk, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something fun here in a second between me and Dr. Ferris comments. We'll do something fun here in a second. What they just said is 100% true, and it's not arguable. If you've ever been in the military and had to do land navigation, if you've ever had to do land nav, had to get a compass and draw an azimuth on a map and do a triangular point and go somewhere, we understand that if you are left foot dominant, in which I am, I'm left eye dominant, so I'm left foot dominant, I'm left hand dominant, I shoot rifles with my left hand, since I'm left eye dominant. If you want to know if you're left eye dominant or not, Right? Everybody, let's do it. We'll find out right now because it's for to prove my point. Everybody, hold your actually right now, unless you're driving, please. I don't want to get sued. Yes, thank you. See, she already knows. I want you to point your imaginary gun, and I want you to aim. Whatever eye you just closed naturally, you're dominant in the other eye. Whatever eye you close naturally, you're dominant in the other eye. And you know it. Here's how we're going to test it. We're going to test it. This time, I want you to look at something far off. Or look at your Zoom screen. It don't have to be that far, but you can look at something far off. Close your eye, okay? Now don't close it too long because you're gonna get muscle deficiency, and it's gonna start right. That variable is gonna mess up my experiment here. Close your eye, and I want you to look at your target. Now switch eyes, and watch that whole target move. You see it? It moved. It would have shifted. It literally, yeah, I shoot 40 out of 40. I'm a highly decorated soldier. I shoot 40 out of 40 my entire time in the military, with the exception of basic training. And I shot 36 out of 40, which qualified me for expert as soon as they gave me them BCGs.
Question for you, sir.
Yep.
What about those of us that shoot both?
Say it again. Shoots both.
Mm-hmm.
I have no answer for that. Dr. Ferris is libertarian. In fact, I'm going to do something fun. I'm about to do something fun. So y'all,
what's a BCG?
Birth control glasses and big old ugly brown glasses. That's what we call them. We call them birth control glasses. Them big old ugly brown glasses. Because if you got them on, you ain't getting none. You hear me? You're not getting none. We call them BCGs. And let me tell you, that is accurate. You hear me? That is accurate. It's very accurate. Very, very accurate. Very accurate. All right. Do me a favor real quick. And I'm going to do, before Dr. Ferris has to slip out, so I'm glad I'm going to do this. Do something for me a favor. And I want you to know that if you're left eye dominant, if you're not careful, you will walk into a left-handed circle given enough distance, because your left side of your body is stronger than the right side of your body. This is why I didn't know how to answer Melissa's question, because Melissa's questions assume both of her bodies are equal, and nature does not create equality. There's nothing in nature that creates equality. This is why Jesus told you need to lower yourself. Equality must be man-made and by choice. Equality is more of a philosophical or theological paradigm, not a scientific one. There's never two raindrops. There's never two snowflakes. Your boobs aren't the same size. You get it? I'm not saying Melissa's not right. I'm just saying I know how to answer that question. I don't have enough data to answer that question, because there's always an exception to some rule out there. And Melissa is an exception if I've ever seen one and met one. So I don't know how, right, to answer that question. I don't know how to answer that question. Okay. Good. Now I'm about to do something fun, but I'm about to literally, well, anyway, but before I do that being said, do me a favor. If you walk in a right hand, if you're right hand dominant, you're going to walk into it, you're going to veer off path. And this is what that's arguing, right? It's arguing that one little bitty measurement of time will create a new time. And that happens every day. Every day you get in your car and you go 70 miles per hour, right? You're creating a new time, whether you want to believe this or not. That's a hard scientific fact. Go ahead, Deanna. We know clocks go slower when remind me to come back to clocks, atomic time, and this stupid Roman calendar that we have. Go ahead, Deanna.
No, you got me and Grace over here laughing because you just explained why I keep running into walls on the right side. My poor right arm is just, it's kind of bruised. I've been running into walls all day, but only on the right side.
Okay, somebody give me some comments real quick.
About.
Okay.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
What you seeing? Anything? Somebody say something. I need you to say something. I need there to be a transition.
So it's interesting because I never actually. I'm right-handed, so I'm trying to figure out because of course when you said to like we were shooting, I held up my left hand, even though I write, what I'm saying, with my right. So it's I
Just
don't
because
know
you're
if I
right-handed
necessarily
doesn't mean
understood it.
just because you're right-handed don't mean you're right dominant. It just means you're right-handed. It doesn't mean you're
Okay.
right dominant. Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with that. That's okay. So
Well,
I'm
I'm
not.
not saying it doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
saying it doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, I write mostly right-handed, but I'm a left-eye dominant. But I'm also ambidextrous. I'm even-handed. Apparently, my mother tried to one of them. My mom's left-handed. One of them trying to make me right-handed, and I've been confused ever since. Or maybe it's DNA. I don't know because all my kids are ambidextrous. Maybe that's what it is. I have no idea. If you've seen the basketball video of my son, he's using his hands evenly.
Yeah.
Right? He's using his hands evenly. Yeah, he's using his hands evenly. All right, let's have some fun with Dr. Ferris real quick. Dr. Ferris said, I'm going from memory here. He talked about physicalism, and he's proving determinism wrong, and by saying it's in the physical system. I'm arguing the physical system. So I would say to that the block universe theory, which is a theory, but Einstein's relativity proves determinism because it does, especially Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein's theory of relativity partially proves determinism by all laws of physics are relative to you. So if you're going 70 miles per hour on a truck and you're jumping on a trampoline that's hitched to the back, you will not fly off that trampoline because as far as the laws of physics are concerned, you're moving at the speed, you're using the first law and the third law of motion to jump up and down from that trampoline. Before you disagree with me, Grace, I'm sure some crazy Antonio out there has something on YouTube for it. Go to YouTube and type in theory of relativity trampoline, and I promise you there's somebody that has done this. So the theory of relativity is not a theory. We know this to be true, but I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet with this here. So events, outcomes, predeterminism, they exist simultaneously in what we call the space-time continuum. Now, to the heart of his argument, physicalism argues that everything is physical, but it does not inherently reject the notion of determinism.
Is this it?
I'm only talking. I have no idea I forgot what I told you, Grace. I'm in a different mode right now. Whatever I told you, just put it up on the screen while I talk. Physicalism. Well, where did I stop? Because I'm building in my head. Physicalism. Well, I'll just start where I think I stopped. Physicalism says that everything is physical. Everything is physical. Everything is physical. Everything is physical. That is not my argument. And however, the challenge of physicalism lies in the interpretation of quantum mechanics in itself, which I would have to get to a little bit, particularly in many worlds interpretation, which Dr. Ferris vehemently, obviously disagrees with when he said there is no empirical evidence for it. But it does introduce, this is the theory now, it does introduce the idea of branching realities. Moving to, and I'm looking at the comments now, his comments, now I'm not looking at present comments, I'm just looking at his comments so I can remember what to say. the determinism at a meta level, and then he brought up compatibilism. So determinism is influenced by multiple levels of reality: physical, quantum, philosophical, or eternalism. We know this. We know there's a quantum. We know there's a physical. We know there's a philosophical. Dr. Ferris knows there's a philosophical. He's a freaking philosopher. Okay. He knows there's a philosophical. So in the terms of compatibilism, whether physical or theological, what I am presenting to you leans more towards quantum compatibilism. So what is that? Quantum compatibilism would be a form that I am strongly suggesting to you right now, that deterministic and non-deterministic interpretations can coexist, because different realities or different outcomes are predetermined from their respective branches, which I got to get to here in a little bit. This is completely not only is it counterintuitive or counterfactual to what Dr. Ferris said from traditional compatibilism theory that he posited in his comment. And remember, I'm only looking at his there's old comments. I'm not looking at the present comment because I'm in the song right now, which attempts to reconcile the idea of free will with deterministic laws of nature by arguing that free will is the freedom to act according to one's desires, which are themselves determined, which we know to be a fact. There's scientific evidence for that, but I shall continue. His last comment, I got to jumble two of them here together. Free will, I don't know how to present this to y'all in a simple way, but it's basically, we're focused on free will and its complexity, or as a complex product. Let's just do that. Free will as a complex product. So according to what I'm saying, free will could be viewed not just as a simple illusion. I am not saying free will is illusion. I am actually arguing that free will is not an illusion. A determinist would say free will is an illusion. Antonio is not saying free will is an illusion. Antonio messed with y'all head for the first 4 weeks and said free will is an illusion, because I wasn't giving you my argument or my opinion. I was just arguing with the video was saying, and we played the video over and over and over. Free will, according to Antonio, and determinism, according to Antonio, are actually a complex interaction inside of a system that has predetermined events that influence both past and potential future states. We know this to be true because this is quantum trajectories. A bullet expelled from a rifle genuinely follows a path. A bullet doesn't go straight, it goes up and then arcs down. So you may think something is straightforward, but a rifle expelling from a weapon, a bullet expelling from a weapon in itself doesn't even go in a straight line. So this is why I brought up neuroscientific or neuroscientificism, because it is evidence that there are predicative processes, which is why I brought up thinking fast and thinking slow, where the brain anticipates future events and they shape current decisions. And you don't get, well, you can argue with this, but y'all do this every day. If you've ever experienced fear, you went out into a future that does not exist. You went out to a future that does not exist. So if you've ever scared that you're running out of money for bills, that's your free will going to something that does not exist. But, and hear me very well, it does exist. Because the reason it exists is because it's scaring the hell out of you. So you can't even argue that that fear is not a deterministic thing. You don't have, stop the screen real quick, Grace. You don't have fear because you have free will. You have fear because it exists. You have fear because it exists in something that is so real, so tangible, it can give you a heart attack. It can give you ulcers. There's some system that fear is so compatible with that you can genuinely mess up the wrong Greek word, the homeostasis. Ain't that how you say it, Grace? I've got Greek in my head. The pH balance. You can mess up your pH balance. There you go. I get out the Greek. You mess up your pH balance just from being feared. You grind your teeth from being feared. You create phantom headaches for being feared. So when we say determinism isn't real, or there's not a system, fear is a great example of using free will. But what is there? Free will is to say you've made your own choice, but fear exists because you're not making your own choice. Fear is probably the best argument I can give here. Fear means you're not making your own choice. Fear is proof positive of determinism, because until you go past that fear, you're not even exercising freedom. So every time, let me scroll it out because I see all this stuff popping up. They can coexist, but that doesn't prove fundamental determinism. Luckily for me, my argument is not trying to prove fundamental determinism. Luckily for me, my argument is determinism absolutely exists. And fear, and right now I'm pressing hard on fear, is a system of determinism. I want you all to think about this for a moment. You think you make decisions. I'm not saying you don't. But you make decisions from something determined and what Napoleon Hill calls your autosuggestion. When all of you right now are starting businesses, all of you are working on your credit or something, and here's the deal. All of you are behaving differently to fear than the other. But I can't get you to understand fear doesn't exist. But it doesn't stop it from being a system, and it doesn't stop it from being a deterministic system. What's determinism? That everything has a cause and an effect. Is that cool? I'm simplifying it, but causality is determinism. There's a cause and there's an effect. That one thing leads to another. Tracy, I am telling you that if you have any fear in your body and you've made any decision, no matter how much you disagree with determinism, you cannot. You can pass it off as skepticism. You can pass it off as due diligence. Those are words are vibrations. These are just words. But it does not stop the fact that fear proves determinism. I am not arguing that fear only proves determinism, because I'm also saying that Antonio can decide, to borrow from Joseph Campbell, to go into that cave in which is going to kill him and get the treasure. That's the hero's journey. I'm not arguing for one side, nor am I taking the cheap way out and arguing for both sides so I can be right. I am making a clear argument. I gave you my thesis. Okay, let me read this here. Conditioning, physiological conditioning. Fear may be the product of a system, but that doesn't entail philosophical determinism. That wasn't my argument, though. Physical systems may be contingently determined, but again, that begs an explanation. Something begging an explanation, psychological. Something begging an explanation doesn't make me wrong. It begs an explanation, right? It begs an explanation. Think about this for a moment. If you have fear, It's determining something. It's determining how you behave. It's determining how you behave. It's determining if you're going to override that behavior. It's determining something. You can just so Dr. Ferris's top paragraph in this last comment is arguing what it's determining. I'm arguing right now it's determining. What it's determining, I don't care, because that's not my argument. But it's determining. If you have fear, think about the choices you get to make. Go past, go through. How many other choices are there? And it doesn't matter. You can give me 5. You can give me 12. It still made you make a choice. That's determinism. Okay? Okay. So I'm answering this last comment, then I'll stop having fun right here. This is fun for me. It's fun for me.
Antonio,
Yes, sir.
in defending your life, the only reason why we are here on this planet is how we deal with fear. And if we deal with it good, we get to go on. If not, we have to come back. That was in the book, Defending Your Life. Remember? That was the only reason why we come here, is to learn how to deal with fear. And I got to go.
Right.
So,
Okay.
love you.
Love you more. Okay. Dr. Ferris said something really good at the very end here. The argument is I'm using determinism ambiguously or broadly. While what I'm saying is rooted in science, philosophical determinism, right? The misuse of these terms and etc. He's saying, let me be very clear how I'm not doing this. I am being very specific in determinism by saying the block universe theory, Einstein's theory of relativity, and the fundamental nature of determinism. That is 100%. When I'm saying the space-time continuum is how it holds time, manipulates time, holds physical objects is determinism. Nobody is using free will to tell mountains how to stay on the ground or stay above water. I am arguing very definitively by saying block universe theory, Einstein's theory of relativity, the fundamental understanding of determinism, space-time continuum, physical objects on this place. The mere fact that all of us woke up this morning, but we didn't build that car. We didn't create oxygen. I'm incorporating very complex quantum mechanics that I am doing really, really good job keeping simple so everybody can understand. So I'm saying quantum mechanics in itself is very hard deterministically, but also quantum mechanics leads to free will. This is the mix-up between the two that we know to be true because we have the double slit experiment that we cannot disprove to this day. I'm also saying that compatibilism and determinism, I am specifically arguing that, like, definitively, by incorporating these elements, I am saying that this does not weaken my idea of a deterministic stance. It actually shows how determinism can coexist with free will to libertarian free will. So this version of free will does not imply libertarian free will. It asserts that free will is incompatible with determinism. Just because I'm saying something coexists, I'm not saying it's compatible. I am definitively saying free will is incompatible with determinism, which is why I argue in my thesis that there is a system. And you can think about this from future states, right? Determinism, matrix reality, whatever. I am vehemently rejecting libertarianism, vehemently, because all events, all human actions, I'm saying that they are predetermined with some sort of complexity, interconnected framework of the past, the present, and the future. And none of us gets to escape this, because the only reason that Dr. Ferris can argue with me and against me, it's because he's Dr. Ferris. It's because he went to school for 12 years. If you rip that out, he can't even compete with me. If you snatch school out of him, the reason why he can have his stance on free will and make such clever, very important arguments that strengthen my argument is because of what came before. He's not Dr. Ferris because he chose to be this morning. He's Dr. Ferris because he chose to be back then, and it's causing him to write what he's saying. That is undeniable. That if you're a woman, it causes you to have a menstrual cycle. Surely there's not a woman here that free will wants a menstrual cycle, unless you don't want to be late. That's a different story. You get it? Because as a woman, you were predetermined with all the ovaries you're ever going to have. Did you free will choose your ovaries? Now, someone smart like Dr. Ferris would say, well, that's the rules. That here's the deal. No matter how much you explain rules, that's determinism. You can explain how you want. That's determinism. Go ahead, Tracy. Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, I'm done. He said, no, it's not. Go ahead, Tracy.
I've been quiet this whole time, and I don't get the whole, I'm not a quantum physics person, and for an hour I've been sitting here listening, and I'm usually pretty intelligent. Today I feel real stupid. Now, but with that being said, because what you just said with all the scientific proof and everything that we just went through and talked about, all of that to me was proving determinism, because like you said, a lot of we didn't wake up in the mountains, just decided to be there. We didn't choose for this to be there because it was already determined. But then you said he didn't choose to be Dr. Ferris today. He chose to be Dr. Ferris a long time ago. But I'm thinking to myself, because it was already determined that he was going to end up being Dr. Ferris. So therefore, I'm still back on the fact that with all this that you've proven about determinism, you said we can't deny that there's free will because of the slit theory. Is that what you said? But you're saying, I'm reading his comment.
Yes, we can't.
It wasn't determined that you was going to be Dr. Ferris because you had to make the choice to be Dr. Ferris.
No.
But in actuality, it was already determined.
My argument was Dr. Ferris made a choice back then. Did you hear it? I said Dr. Ferris is able, if you snatch 12 years, get ready to go, Tracy. If you snatch 12 years of school out of Dr. Ferris, I'm talking about like after school, like after high school. If you snatch 12 years of I pay for this voluntarily school from Dr. Ferris, then it wouldn't be Dr. Ferris. And what I argued was my argument, plain and simple. Dr. Ferris used free will to choose to be Dr. Ferris, and it's predeterministically choosing for him what he's saying right now. I argued my argument.
But that's my point.
My argument. Go ahead,
it
Tracy.
Was predeterminedly chosen already. So therefore, he just walked in the path that was already chosen for him. He just, not you, Dr. Ferris, but I'm just saying, you're saying that, I made the decision to go ahead and to become the Dr. Ferris that had already been chosen for me because it was already determined that's what you were going to be. Okay, you can say, I could have chose not to go down that path. But if you chose not to go down that path, then it was already determined that you was going to not go down that path. So I just had to say something right there.
I agree with everything you said, with the exception of I agree with everything with the exception of the one part. I'm not saying Dr. Like you just cut his camera, so you're going to talk. I'm not saying Dr. Ferris was chosen to be Dr. Ferris. Was determined to be Dr. Ferris. I'm saying Dr. Ferris chose past all what he was, all what he could be. He chose. That's free will. I'm also saying because he chose something for so long, that today he stands on one side of free will, and it's deterministically choosing his responses. That I am arguing explicitly, specifically, definitively. I'm saying
No.
it's just free will. Okay, no, go ahead.
I don't understand what version of determinism you're working with. But if you're just arguing that at some moment something is determined, that is true. That is trivially true. When I make a choice, I determine something, or something is determined. That is trivially true, but that is not any interesting version of determinism. Determinism means something else insofar as something is being predicated of a prior cause, and you have to get back to what cause it is. There is nothing in quantum mechanics that is clearly situating or establishing the contingency of my choice or all my choices. There may be something that is inferred, but it is at one level already a theoretical posit that is being employed in the argument itself. But there is nothing in evidence. There is no evidence from any empirical science that determines, or at least demonstrates, that all causes that are coming from the agent me, that those are already predetermined. You have to employ an a priori reason in order to arrive at that, and or a circular reason to say that my choice is already predetermined because that's what happens. But that's a circular argument.
Fair enough. So let me respond to that. I'm not making a circular argument. Thomas Young in 1801 did the famous double slit theory, which proves every 98% of what you just said wrong. Now, 1801 is the foundation of what we call quantum physics, the double slit theory. So the original context in Young's original experience, light was shown to two parallel slits, resulting in a pattern on the screen that had an interference pattern. This quantum mechanical interpretation is when this experiment was conducted, electrons or protons at one at a time, it deterministically behaved. The moment that you put another option up, it free will behaved. It behaved in a way that we call an interference pattern or superposition. It behaved in that way. We know this. We've been having this evidence since 1801. It's called the wave particle duality, to where the double slit experiment demonstrates the fundamental principle of wave particle duality, in which a wave acts with free will or a wave acts in determinism. And what does science say? And since 1801, that we can measure, that we can prove, that we have, is that once you measure it, once you take a mathematical equation of it, once you look at it, take a speed of it, do any form of measurement, which is called the observer effect, then 100% it stops being in free will, and then it goes into a deterministic behavior. That right there, 1801, Thomas Young defeats every single thing that you just said, that there is not a ironclad idea that choices or determinism doesn't exist. This is why I stand on the argument. And here's the deal. What Dr. Ferris is doing, what I'm doing, this is what scholars do all day. This is not personal. What I'm standing on is both and, not a circular argument. Not a circular argument. A circular argument is a cop-out, especially it's if you ever had a computer and it just keeps rebooting itself and you're getting stuck in that boot loop, that's a circular argument where I'm saying something and I'm saying something else, and I'm going back to what I'm saying. I'm never proving nothing. Your grandmother said, a friend to everybody is a friend to none. You know what I'm talking about? That's a circular argument. I am taking a hard stance based on hard science from 1801, double slit theory, wave particle theory, the observer effect that we have, that we measure. I'm saying to all of you, and we know this to be true because we have a term for it. It's called electricity. Genuinely, the way we all heat our houses is with free will and determinism.
So
Genuinely.
right there,
Go ahead, Tracy.
because I went and looked it up. So you're saying that the double slit theory experiment of 1801, it was
1801.
acting in a certain, I'm looking at it, it was acting in a certain way. So it behaved in a certain way that they expected it to behave, where it was something. And then they changed it and they put something else in there, which caused it to act differently. So you're saying that, so this is what I'm getting. Y'all are saying that it behaved in that certain way, which made it predetermined that that's the way it was going to behave. But then when it did not act or react in the way they expected it to act, then y'all say, oh, well, it's acting in its own free will because it didn't do what we expected it to do.
This is also correct.
So you're saying that it's free, but how do you know that that's not how it was determined to be just because they didn't know that that's how it was going to react? That doesn't negate the fact that that's the way that it was supposed to react.
That's a fair argument. I have no defense to that argument. I think that argument is indefensible. I don't know what to say about how do we know that our idea of free will or anything is not determinism itself. That I can't answer, right? I can't answer that one, but I can say, and I'll let you go right back in about 30 seconds. What I can say is that to re-explain what you said, when we put protons through one slit, it behaved deterministically. But the moment Dr. Ferris gave the electron two slits, it behaved with choice.
It
now, I'm skipping
behaved
part of
with what they considered choice because it wasn't what they expected it to be.
Scientifically, it's called an interference pattern. It went through one slit, then it went through the other slit. Then it went through, then it went through both slits. Then it went through no slits. Then it went around the slit. Then it went under the slit. This is the interference pattern. This is what it is. We know this to be true. You have it in all your science. You call it kinetic energy, potential energy. The way we do alternative current, AC, there's a difference between your alternator is AC current, your battery is direct current. These are two different forms of electricity. We have technology that y'all use every single day to prove something behaves like a wave, and then you measure it. But don't take my word. Please don't take my word. Until you tune your radio into 97.9, you never thought about what frequency modulation means. FM means frequency modulation. You're taking the randomness frequency of the air and you're modulating it deterministically to where you want to go. One more thing, and I'll let Dr. Ferris go. Wi-Fi is 802.11 G or N frequency. It's already in the air. And until we tap into it and harness it somewhere, it's free will. It's double slit. It's whatever it wants to do until we modulate it. We built the planet based off what I'm saying. And the moment we start understanding this in 1947, look at how human beings, Dr. Faith, ready to go in 15 seconds. Human beings had the same technology until 1947. Medicine didn't even work until 1947. And in 1947, mankind has exploded in technology from 1947 to right now. And we've been here for tens of thousands of years. There you go. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Ferris. I know it because I'm a nerd. Yeah, that's what I do.
The double, The double slit experiment. Yeah, there was you said a lot there. There was a lot there. Yeah. The the double slit experiment, along with other experiments, thought experiments utilizing quantum mechanics, already requires some sort of theoretical explanation that is mental. There is no determined explanation of the data itself. It's kind of like when people used to argue that we have quantum cases where a cat exists and doesn't exist at the same time, so we have a contradiction. Well,
Schrodinger's cat.
no, we
Schrodinger's
don't.
cat. Yeah.
No, we don't have a contradiction. We just have two different domains, but that doesn't give an explanation of what's going on fundamentally. If physical determinism is hypothetically shown to be true by some quantum mechanical experiment, then it would have to presuppose or further show that mental causes either do not exist or they are physical themselves.
That was a good point.
And if you do not show that, then it doesn't demonstrate any sort of interesting determinism that these theoreticians, whether they be philosophers or scientists, are seeking to demonstrate some form of determinism. You might just as well argue for indeterminism at the fundamental level, because if physics itself is not closed, but it is merely a domain that's already contingent upon some other system, then it too, from the vantage point of physics, can be shown that certain causes and effects are determined. But at some fundamental level, if it's not a closed system, then it requires some further explanation. And that further explanation is unclear at the quantum level.
Very unclear. Very unclear. He's going to keep going. The more we know about the quantum levels, the more we don't know. Just to be clear. Okay. Keep going, Dr. Fraser. I just want them, while quantum physics is the most accurate science we have ever had, it is equally as incomplete as Dr. Ferris just argued. And that's fair. That's 100% fair. Okay. Go ahead. We'll end around 8:30. I'm gonna play a video to get everybody talking, but we good to go. We on time because we started late. Go ahead, Dr. Ferris.
Determinism, at least an interesting version of determinism, says that every event is an effect of an unbroken chain of causes and effects. But you can only show that from certain domains. It doesn't prove universal determinism. And if you're not arguing for universal determinism, then libertarianism isn't ruled out.
No, I'm not arguing for it.
But then libertarianism isn't ruled out.
Ferris not ruled out. That's why I specifically said I would rule it out. But there's a reason why. But you're correct. You're correct, and I stand corrected. You're absolutely correct.
In order to, well, okay. So if you're not arguing for universal determinism and it's not ruled, libertarianism is not ruled out, then you have, well, I actually don't know what you're arguing then, because you have to have something in order to render libertarianism, where there is contra-causal freedom, inept or in, inadequate, you would have to show that it's a part of an unbroken chain of causes and effects. And quantum mechanics just doesn't do that.
This is
Because
correct. That's why
quantum,
libertarianism is philosophy and not science. This is, which is a type of science, but it's philosophy. That's correct. Go ahead, Tracy.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
Science itself is already pre-theoretical in some sense, at some level. Science, empirical science itself, does not, unless some sort of physical system is closed, it does not, and it cannot make universal declarations on its own, of its own. Science itself is an inadequate enterprise for determining truth.
One can argue
because it's already pre-theoretical.
Right, but I can
theological
make that same
only
argument for theology.
Sure, but theological, well, it depends on what we mean by theology. If we mean by theology revelation that's contingent or something like that, then
That's
yes. If there are uncontingent truths in theology, then that would be a different question. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to argue that right now. I'm just saying that empirical science itself is an inadequate enterprise to arrive at truth claims. Even scientists, when they're making these very loaded claims, they're having to do some sort of pre-theoretical work to interpret the data. So ruling out libertarian freedom, in other words.
And I'll tell you why I rule it out. I'll tell you why. I did not include it in my argument, but I'll tell you why when you finish.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just say science.
Let me give it to you now so you can make an argument against it. Because there are no societal norms. There is no gradation. There is no level. There is no societal norm. So libertarian suggests that someone is doing something outside of a norm, outside of a system. And I'm arguing if it exists, it's not outside. And which would theologically make me argue, or at least lead me to a hole that there is no good, there is no bad. That would leave me that hole wide open there. So that's why I said, to me, I would just vehemently disagree with libertarianism, because there are no societal norms to go outside of. Because if you can think it has been done before and we do it, and we're basing it on the era in which we live. We stop at stoplights today because they exist. In 1500, we would not have done so. Okay, keep going, Dr. Ferris. That's why I argued against it. The libertarianism. It's not that I'm throwing it out. It's I have a different view of societal norms.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think libertarianism means that necessarily that the will exists outside of a system. It simply means that it is, at a minimum, the will is not
predetermined. I guess we can say that. We can
the volition.
Or,
the volition
or has
is
no
not.
cause.
The volition is not a part of an unbroken chain that it itself did not start.
Right. Exactly.
So it is contra-causal. It doesn't have to be outside of the system, whatever the system is.
Right. And that's a whole different conversation.
But it's uncontingent.
Right.
It's Tracy now. I want to hear Tracy now. Okay.
She's talking about me here. Well, hold on. Before we get to Tracy, let me simplify what Dr. Ferry is saying. Well, I can't simplify what he's saying, and y'all understood it though. But let me say something very important in which he said that there has to be a foundation somewhere, Antonio. Somewhere there has to be a foundation, and that foundation may not be science. That's may not be. Okay, may not be. All right, that was a strong point, a great point, and should be honored and respected point. I will say this to that though: when the church was establishing foundations, they didn't do too well. Now that the science is establishing foundation, ain't necessarily doing too well. Both and they can both learn from one another. Okay, go ahead, Tracy, and then Prophet Jared. We're almost done. No, go ahead, take your time.
One thing I just want to say first, you said, and we all understood what he said. No, we did not understand what he just said. I just want to make that clear. And I know and I understand that there's a higher level of vernacular there for,
That guy
but
doesn't
however,
know how to bring things down.
right, there was some words I'm over here Googling, like, okay. And
I don't know how to bring down. I don't know how to bring down the free will discussion. I do, but it would take a lot. It would take a lot more time. This is not my area of expertise, but it is an important area, and it is often mired in a great deal of ambiguity, semantic and conceptual ambiguity, and so it is something that that's hard to reduce in a short period.
That's fair. Tracy, let's come back to you. Take as long as you want.
I
cut you off. No. But don't rush. Just go ahead.
No, I just wanted to touch on a couple of points because I know you all were talking about libertarianism and the social norms. And with that,
okay, Dr. Ferris, I know you got to go, man. You can go ahead and go with blessings. I'm sorry, Tracy. I don't want him to feel bad for having to go. He's tried to duck out here an hour ago. The conversation was too juicy. Go ahead, Tracy.
With as far as that, I know you were saying like you can't necessarily say that there's a social norm, and I agree.
I agree
with that because everybody's norm is different, because everybody on here pretty much grew up differently, and so your norm would be different. So when it comes to that concept of thinking that, okay, because when y'all were saying libertarianism, I'm like, what exactly are y'all talking about with that? So I went and looked it up.
Yeah.
I got my computer right here.
Thank God for
Google. I try to stay with the conversation. However, I was getting lost. Okay. But then the other thing, and I mean, he's gone now, but he was saying how y'all were saying how, a lot of the quantum physics and the science behind it has discovered more, but yet there's still a lot that's like, the more that they learn, the more that they know that they don't really know. And so a lot of this
infinity is pretty big. Infinity
aspect that y'all are using, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, because you were talking about, I'm going back to the double slit theory, and I'm thinking, okay, but with that, any type of science, it's going to look like, and I'm saying look like, free will when we don't know what it's going to do until we put it through something different to see what it's going to do. And then once we put something through something, we kind of know after what it's going to do, which then it is determined already that that's what it was going to do. We just don't know that that's what it's going to do until we do it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense to me. Let me spiritualize that for some folk that it may not make sense to. She's saying God's so big, and telling you how we know any of this stuff is not in His will. And even though she's not arguing for His will, that's not what she's saying. But she's saying it's got to be something. But Antonio, I hear you. And what you're saying makes sense to me because I have this great understanding of infinity, of infinite intelligence of God. And I think God go past that too, is what Tracy's saying. You get it? That's what. Am I speaking for you well, Tracy? What's up, baby?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's more complex than that, right? Yeah. That's what Dr. Ferris was saying. It takes like forever.
You muted yourself.
I think they're spraying for mosquitoes, baby. Here, can you give me a high five?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She don't care about y'all. It's a noise out there, and her daddy needs to protect her. Okay, let's go to Prophet Jared and we'll come back to Tracy, and then I'm gonna show a 4-minute and 41-second video, and we're done. But before the reason why I'm doing this to y'all, because it affects your prayer life, whether you think so or not. Whether you think so or not.
Please tell me how. Please tell me how. Please.
If you think that if determinism, if you believe, I believe I am a gazillionaire and it shows up in my life. So either I have the free will to say, yeah, I choose that, or I'm saying my determinism way bigger than yours. I don't determinism myself into what a black man in America is or what it should be. I don't determine myself to care about whoever the hell y'all fit to vote for president. I don't care.
Antonio,
I don't care. Yes, ma'am. Go
can
ahead.
I add to that? Because
yeah.
Actually, what you're saying, I was, and all of those big words y'all said.
I know we do this. If you listen to our podcast, it's a
I mean, I
nerdgasm.
understood it all, but it was just a lot.
Yeah.
So
For real.
this is what I took, and I wrote notes. You can't see my tablet, but I wrote notes. So, the most striking thing that was said in this whole conversation for me was when you said that fear is determinism.
Got doggone right.
That was the most important statement of this call for me. And so I wrote down, as humans, as humans, we spend our time in fear, and determinism affects our health, our choices, and the final outcomes of everything we do. It has a detrimental impact on the final outcome of everything we do. And then I said that, instead of living in fear and accepting those predetermined theories and outcomes that we've imagined in our minds, we have the free will to imagine something completely different, like the outcome and desire that we actually want, and actually vibrating to the frequency of whatever we want, because we know, according to our universal laws, it's predetermined that if we do this, we will experience the desired outcome. And that's all it boils down to. That was the whole point of the whole conversation.
Every single time you pray, you're praying to determinism. Go ahead. Good job. Y'all clap for Damali. That's spot on. Every time you say, I need to do better is a comparative verb. It is comparing to something that is a causality. You don't get to escape determinism, no matter how much you want free will. You didn't choose your ovaries. You didn't choose to be a female or a male. Now, I know you guys going to say, we know in the great of the greats, I did. I get that. But when you got here, you can have all the surgery you want. You can't get ovaries.
I was bamboozled.
It just, listen, I'm not arguing against trans anything. I'm for it. I'm for all rights. I'm very sympathetic. I'm an ally. I'm not tripping on it. I'm just saying that no matter what I give Tracy, she is not going to grow a penis. It's just not going to happen. I didn't say we can't surgically, she can't buy something. I'm saying fundamentally, her DNA is determined whether she wants it to be or not. And this is the argument for transgender. This is the argument for being gay or sexual preference. They're saying, and I agree because I'm a freaking scientist and I'm educated, they're saying my DNA tells me I'm this. It doesn't matter what you think of your societal norms or how I was raised. My chromosomes, my not triple helix. You're a freaking alien if you're a triple helix. My bad. Sorry, too many sci-fi books and movies.
Antonio, it was like we were talking about was that last week when you were breaking down. Oh,
I'm a freaking genius. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Yeah, we were talking about the quotes from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the ones I read to you, and so the subjective is the idea of us.
This is correct.
So the subjective would be while the objective me is being a girl, subjectively, I'm a boy.
Other way around.
Oh,
Objectively, if someone is transgender, that's not, they're not, see, if someone is gay, if someone is bi, if someone is anywhere in the alphabet, they're not doing that by choice. They're doing it by objective. They're saying, I was born this way. Y'all subjectively put these standards and labels on me. You have the right idea, but you're not being fair to the community, because the community is not doing it by choice. Because this is why you have those ungay camps.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And well, I know you are an ally. I have to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have to talk to everybody.
Prana. I have to put that word in there because it makes the objective subjective.
Right. But you responded when I just talked about the community, and I had to I had no choice but to clear that up, because I don't want none of y'all leaving here saying, well, Antonio taught me free will and determinism. You're using your free will. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not what you're saying.
That's
it
not
came
what I'm
out of
saying.
my mouth wrong, but that's not what you're saying.
No, it didn't come out. It came out your mouth right. I'm just telling you that objectively, DNA is objective, not subjective.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Thank you.
Yeah. DNA is objective. Prophet Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah,
and I got you, Tracy. I'm coming right back to you, and then we're gonna play this video. We started 30 minutes late, so we late, but this is fantastic. Yeah, if you gotta go, you can go, and you can sit. You can take. I'm not saying you have attitude, but just let me say it for charisma's purposes. If you got attitude, you can take that and goodbye, right? You do that, do the Zoom, okay? You good. These folk gonna stay here and get this conversation. Go ahead, Prophet Jerry.
You know, it's amazing that greetings, Bishop. How you doing?
Greetings, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's amazing what the Molly said, because that's what I was just about to say. Good. Was that y'all know what I'm going through, right? From the beginning of the year. Right. But y'all seeing all that, what I was doing with the gym and all that. And right. I think fear had stepped in, because seeing like every time I get that pumping, you know, I can get that pumping just right, get them bells just right, I end up back in the hospital. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not trying to have a pity party, but I'm saying I can't get it out.
Let me defend you real quick, because everybody, I'm gonna say in a way everybody can relate. You take enough losses, that should have changed you.
Say that again now.
You take enough losses, that shit will change you.
Yeah.
You can front all you want to. God is good.
Yeah,
keep losing. Yeah. And watch how that changes you.
Right.
Okay, so that's what you're saying. You're not doing a pity party. You're saying, man, I've been losing, and I've been losing, and every time I think I'm about to win, hear that damn losing come right back up. I am doing the right thing, and then my body break down. So we feel you. Put that way, you keep speaking, because you're gonna help somebody. At least you're gonna help yourself. Keep going.
So to the point, you know, it's like every time we make a decree that we're gonna go to the gym, something ends up happening and we don't end up going. Fair. But so where can I know you could do it at home, but I think for me the gym is more because I'm doing the videos and
it creates a certain environment that stimulates you, so your loser stays at bay.
Right, because if I do it home, really, I don't have all the equipment here and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Basically,
let's say get 5 pounds. And, right. You got your, like, Deanna has to get up. Sometimes Deanna has to get up and go to Starbucks just to work, because Tracy too. There's too much energy saturated in your home that is against work. Right? Wow. That is against work.
Too comfortable.
Too comfortable. And you have
that's good right there.
You're right. You have too much energy, too much. So your free will has created my house is this system of determinism in which we don't work out in this mother scooter. Ain't that in here. Okay, we working out, it's horizontal. You understand? If If I'm sweating for that. I'm not sweating for nothing else. This is the energy we sit down.
Right.
Hey, if you got what I'm saying, you just as nasty as me. Okay, if you got what I'm saying,
I got
we
what
all
you're saying.
sinners.
Yes, sir.
We all sinners around here. All right, you know what I'm saying?
We
How
all
dare you,
heathens because
sir?
we follow you. We all heathens because we follow you.
Well,
That's
we know
what
I'm a
it is.
heathen. Man, we know I'm a heathen. We know I'm a heathen. No, so you're absolutely right. You should go to 25. I like the little purple one. I like the purple one because they have a rule. She don't like the purple one. Tracy don't like the purple one. What's the purple one? It says don't be one of them loud people. What's the purple one? Down you get a membership there all the time. What's the purple one? What's the purple one, y'all?
Oh,
purple workout place.
Planet Fitness.
Planet
Fitness.
Fitness. Yeah.
Planet Fitness. All right, that's the purple
Yeah,
one.
Planet
All right,
Fitness.
there you go. All right, free advertisement for y'all. Planet Fitness. I feel you, brother. Tracy, get ready in 1 minute. Listen, my argument is clear. So I was just this is why I was just gonna drag y'all through this for 7 weeks and then hit y'all with this and then burn off. I was gonna burn off and leave you to struggle. But if free will said nah. I believe in both, but it's not that I believe in both. See, this is different between me is what Jalen just probably messaged me. I'm gonna read out loud. Been finishing up the credit stuff. Since he's been listening to me, his points have jumped up 50, 65 points in each bureau. He been listening to me, what, 72 hours? Yeah, no doubt. That's a 50, 60. Look, here's the deal. Here's the crazy thing, Demar. That's free will, but in a deterministic system. He used his free will. This is a great example. His message is a great example of what I'm talking about. He used his free will to go into a system that has rules, cause and effect. This is my argument. This is my thesis. If I can get y'all to stop praying, for God's sakes, if you have already prayed. No. Prayer, you better pray. I'm not saying that was a comment in that sentence. No, you better pray. Because you ain't getting nothing without praying. That's the first part of this thing. That's the spiritual revelation. But then after that, you got to work on you. But if you are stuck in your ways, you don't even realize you're in a deterministic system in your head. And only the people who dominate life the way you're trying to be override that. It always baffles me how people who don't like their life and people who make far less money than me and don't like their life disagree with me. It always baffles me.
Watch yourself, Reverend.
Let me give y'all a new thing that I only tell Grace and I only tell Deanna this, and it pisses them off. So I know it's going to piss y'all off, right? They're used to it now. I say, Tracy, the only thing you know how to do is be broke. And they go, don't tell me that, but I want you to think about it. You're 43 years old. All you know is how to be a genius at being where you are. The problem is you're a genius in where you are. It's a deterministic system. You're so freaking genius at it, you won't think of anything else. So you're in this deterministic system, continuously being a genius. And what do geniuses do? That's not how it goes. That's not how it works. All right. If you like your harvest, this is what I'm telling them, pissing them off. If you like your life, if you like where you at, disagree. Congratulations. You know something. But if you don't, shut up. Kindly. If you don't like where you are, keep your mouth shut.
Because you say shut the hell up. That's what you say.
Shut the hell up. Because God is trying to tell you something and you ain't listening. So you're going to stay in that thing. And I know Tracy agrees with that because she agrees with everything I say about determinism. Me and Tracy are spot on. She has, ever since I introduced this, she was like, you know what determinism was? But I'm a hard determinist, Antonio. Then you are, because I am. I know I am. Also believe in free will. I just know that these two things are interdependent, codependent, and independent. that all three. So not to hold you long, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get Tracy. So straight, you get it?
You say to learn when to shut the blank up. So I'm
Well, then
shutting the
there it
blank
is.
up.
Damn. I want to. Damn, Tracy's so smart. That was like the smartest thing that has happened in about 90 days, y'all. If I had something, shit, that don't matter. Keep on going, sir. That's the smartest thing I've seen in about 90 days. I'm going to show a video, 4 minutes and 41 seconds. I pray thee watch the whole video. I do. It is, if you ever wanted to see how Antonio thinks, it is in this video, but you won't catch it until the very last 20 seconds. And it is when Einstein is brought up. So I must admit to you that years ago, now, first off, IQ is trash. Nobody cares. There's an artistic IQ, there's a mechanical IQ, there's a technical IQ. So don't let nobody tell you you're a stupid IQ score, because all these stupid people with these IQs, they work for me. You understand? Like, just keep it real. And I was a C student if you've ever seen one. 100%. My graduation class was 575. I graduated 527. I barely got out of there. And I ain't talking about alphabetical order. I'm talking about grade order. You hear me? I barely got out of there. C student. C student if I've ever seen one. I ain't like school, didn't understand school, and I'm pissed off. You got me figuring out these math problems some white man made up. This is crazy. This is just what I'm saying. I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm just telling you what I'm saying. Now I'm a whole mathematician out here. I want you to get that I am genuinely a Renaissance man, the polymath. Don't talk about this, but I do need to tell you this, so I want you to see this video. If you know, I am a poet. If you've never seen me do poetry, I do poetry at a genius level. Slam poetry, both Deaf Poetry Jam, depending on how old you are, I do it at a genius level. I am a fiction writer. I do it at a genius level if you've ever read one of my books. Then I turn around and do research, which is a whole different part of the brain, a whole different side of the brain. I'm a research writer. I am a mathematician, a programmer, and a quantum physicist. That's left brain. But I got away with words like I play the guitar. I use both of my brains evenly. My Myers-Briggs personality says that I am of the 0.005%, in which I use both of my hemispheres at the same time. Grace, Google this. My personality type in Myers-Briggs is INTJA. INTJA. That is 0.02% of the world. So some of this stuff y'all see from me is genetics. Don't try to use me. I am the architect. Introverted. Don't let these charismatic skills fool you. And if you click that thing real quick and just scroll down to people that got INTJ. Just scroll down until you start seeing famous people. We forget what it is. We won't even know what it is. You can look it up yourself. Right there. Friedrich Nietzsche, Michelle Obama, Elon Musk, Christopher Nolan. All the Antonio, who's your favorite philosopher? Friedrich Nietzsche. If you go look at anything in Solarian verse, it says Christopher Nolan is one of my biggest inspirations. Okay, you can stop right there. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because half the stuff I do is genetic lottery. Tracy got the hips. Deanna got the boobies. That's genetic lottery. You understand? It's just genetic lottery. My brain is just genetic lottery. My memory is photographic. Don't take my word. Ask Grace and Deanna. I've never studied for a test in my life.
No. I'm not gonna lie. I be a little jelly. I be wanting a piece of his brain just to be implanted in mine, just a small.
It don't make no sense why I just laid out a whole scholarly scientific argument. And I'm from 807 38th Street, Galveston, Texas, 77550, where the Bloods be at. Don't make no sense. I can stand toe to toe. So no, don't use me as an excuse not to be great. That's what people do. They go, I can't do that, Antonio. I ain't come from no divine sperm. My dad's in jail right now, 23rd year and counting. Just a regular old dude. I just, for whatever reason, 2 chromosomes hit and bam. I've been thinking. That being said, watch this video, 4 minutes, 41 seconds. We in it. And I'm going to give you my closing thoughts now. So all I'm doing is say you can't play better, you can't dominate. What Einstein does, which you won't find until last seconds, is how I think. And I pray thee, please think as dumb as Einstein is about to say. Because if you ask me, I agree. What's going to be said at the end of this video, I do not believe in. I 100% agree with Einstein. I 100% agree with Einstein. And if I said it out loud, people will go, that's crazy, Antonio. That don't make any sense, but I can prove it. So here we go. God bless y'all.
This is NASA's Space Power Facility near Cleveland, Ohio, and it is the world's biggest vacuum chamber. It's used to test spacecraft in the conditions of outer space, and it does that by pumping out the 30 tons of air in this chamber until there are about 2 grams left. And it's kind of got an eccentric construction, which is part of its history. It was built in the 1960s as a nuclear test facility to test nuclear propulsion systems, and that meant that they built it out of aluminium to make the radiation easier to deal with. Aluminium is not the best thing, the strongest material to build a vacuum chamber out of. So they built an outer concrete skin, which is part radiation shielding and part an external pressure vessel, so that this thing can take the force that's present on the outside when it's pumped out to the conditions of outer space. Galileo's experiment was simple. He took a heavy object and a light one and dropped them at the same time to see which fell fastest. Now in this case, the feathers fell to the ground at a slower rate than the bowling ball because of air resistance. So in order to see the true nature of gravity, we have to remove the air. It takes 3 hours to pump out the 800,000 cubic feet of air from the chamber.
Okay, we dropped 2 millitorr in the last 30 minutes.
But once it's complete, there's a near perfect vacuum inside.
6104 manual, 10% open. Station 1, go for drop. PCB 30-1, pressure set point at 240 psi. We are go for drop.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Cameras on. 2, 1. Release.
Exactly. They came down exactly the same. Wow.
Look.
That's right there. Look at how they hit right there.
Exactly.
Back on the side.
Exactly the same.
Feathers don't move, nothing.
Look at that. That's just brilliant. Isaac Newton would say that the ball and the feather.
This is where you learn, Antonio. Please be more like this. Rewind it just for a second. Isaac Newton would say, here we go.
Isaac Newton would say that the ball and the feather fall because there's a force pulling them down, gravity. But Einstein imagined the scene very differently. The happiest thought of his life was this. The reason the bowling ball and the feather fall together is because they're not falling. They're standing still. There is no force acting on them at all. He reasoned that if you couldn't see the background, there'd be no way of knowing that the ball and the feathers were being accelerated towards the earth. So he concluded they weren't.
To end the call. It's such a great video. You can plan better. You can
Wait, no,
dominate.
no.
We'll pick up there next week from that same area. It
You
builds
gotta start
into my
next week
next
off with the
class.
video.
You're a
I'm gonna
butthole.
start it off with the video.
You son of a biscuit eating bulldog.
And what y'all call it free will is air resistance. Those bowling balls and feathers were determined to fall at the same time. And Antonio says they're not falling. My argument today was Tracy, they're not falling. I don't agree with free will or determinism. I agree in something completely different that I'm calling a system that I have yet to explain. Deuces. Oh, I love my job. I love it so much.
Love you all. See
Love you,
you
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
What,
Love
what
you.
else can somebody screw with your head and get paid for it? Oh, man, so awesome. All right, y'all.